Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. The fact that there are 2 end cutscenes in this map makes me even more excited to jump into this video explaining exactly what is going on. The Cold War Zombies storyline has branched off from the previous Ether storyline with this game, and as such, we've got to take a kind of fresh look at absolutely everything that we believe to be true about the Zombies universe, and make sure that our assumptions still hold up. Now, this video is not going to be a replacement for my full story of FIREBASE Z video, which is a separate thing linked in the description and in the top right-hand corner of the screen right now, but it is going to give you a solid understanding of everything related to the ending, which, to be honest, is probably the most exciting bit. So, let's get started. The first thing to understand is the context of what's going on here. Through the Easter egg, we work with Ravenov, who is an Omega agent turned to work with Requiem. We also work with Dr. Peck, but Dr. Peck still works for Omega, and he's basically the bad guy, kind of like how Dr. Groff is someone that we kind of work with, but also work against in Der Eisendrache. The Easter egg culminates in our characters activating a Requiem satellite to beam energy into the station that we're currently inside, to overpower all the generators there and create a portal to the dark ether inside this chamber, the Omega portal chamber.
Satellite dish in position. Requiem control, you've got a green light. Fire when ready.
Connection established, systems nominal. Locking target. Initiating firing sequence. Firing in 3, 2, 1.
What the hell is that? Are you firing a goddamn space laser at my satellite dish? That's it, strike team. Get back to the OPC.
This is only necessary because Dr. Peck tricks us earlier on and makes us think that we're going to be able to open that portal and things are going to be fine, but then at the last second he double-crosses us and says this.
See, here's the thing. If you believe my deception, does that make it true? Of course not. You chose to overload the mainframe. You've destroyed your only way to bring Maxis back. You also wiped the hard drive, so you can't steal my research either. You lost this one. Take it on the chin. Go home.
So, like I said, we find a solution, we open up the portal, and the cutscene begins. I'll play that for you now.
Sam?
To nobody's surprise, the one and only Samantha Maxis steps out of the portal, and eagle-eyed Zombies fans will notice something straight away. Sam has a katana on her back, which seems to match Takio's katana, and the interesting references to the past do not stop there. Take a look, for example, at her gas mask. Doesn't that look super similar to the gas masks that we could equip on Zetsubo no Shima? Also, the goggles are very reminiscent of what we used to see Nikolai wearing. Sam also has a very suspicious red scarf, and Monty always had a trademark red scarf, so the fact that Sam is now wearing one cannot go unnoticed. We'll talk more about these details in a moment, but first it's important to understand why Sam is coming out of this portal in the first place. We know from D Machine that Samantha has been helping Requiem out at a distance. She trusts Weaver, that can be said, but she doesn't necessarily trust Requiem as an entire organization. As such, she shouldn't be considered a Requiem agent. Rather, she is sort of a central party between Requiem and Omega. Now, we also know that Sam got tipped off to the existence of this facility by Ravenov, but when she got there and tried to infiltrate the facility, she was captured by Omega forces. Those forces were being directed by Dr. Peck, who establishes this facility in the first place. His goal is to create stable teleporters that allow us to access the dark ether so they can send in ethernauts who will then mine the dark ether itself in the form of Ethereum and bring it back to the real world, or our dimension at least. Mining in this way comes at a cost though. The ethernauts that go into the dark ether often return with infections and with amnesia. It's certainly better to come back that way than to never return at all, but those who do come back often need to be euthanized anyway, unfortunately. So Peck knows all this, of course, and he decides once Maxis is captured to throw her into the dark ether.
That's right. I threw her through the portal.
This actually sort of goes against orders that he was given to capture Maxis and torture her for information. But we know that Peck has developed a truth serum to extract info from people that return to the Dark Ether with amnesia, and as such, you can kind of make sense of his reasoning. If she's thrown into the Dark Ether and then comes back with amnesia, he can get all the information he wants super easily. And it's a handy way to keep her busy because obviously the Dark Ether is a super dangerous place. What Peck didn't anticipate is that there would be that massive ether explosion that caused all the people at the site to become infected and turn into zombies, and that also shut the power down at the facility. And he's midway through some other work when that happens, and so he ends up kinda stuck.
I could reopen it, but well, with the power back on, I need to finish transmitting my research to Omega. Best of luck with your thing.
This is also why he double-crosses us just before the cutscene plays, because he basically only wants to complete that other work and he doesn't actually care about getting Sam out of the portal right now.
Sam, what happened to you?
I recognize that voice. Wait. You are Requiem.
So, the fact that Sam comes out of the portal and says, I recognize that voice, is explained by that amnesia that people returning from the Dark Ether face. And we also know that time passes at a different rate in the Dark Ether compared to on the regular dimension of Earth. And so Samantha tells us that she doesn't know how long she's been there for. She thinks that it might be a week, a month, or maybe more. It just seems like so long ago that she originally got there, she pretty much loses track. And as we all know, going to the Dark Ether is a terrible way to spend your weekend, let alone potentially months. So no doubt Sam has seen horrors while she's in there and also committed her own atrocities as well. Let's keep the cutscene going here because time is running out for our characters. The satellite that was beaming energy into the facility is overpowering that portal and it's about to create a massive ether shockwave, so they need to get out of there fast.
You are Requiem. Run!
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, we killed this ungodly creature.
Seeing an Elder God on the other end of their escape portal probably wasn't what they had in mind, but thankfully our characters are pretty savvy with taking these things down, and so that's exactly what you do in the boss fight. Now, if you don't know what Elder Gods are, we first saw them in D Machine wandering around in the woods. They are basically massive entities that are more attuned to the Dark Ether than your regular zombies. And this one is called Order, but there are multiple of them. Like, there is a hierarchy to the Elder Gods. So even though we are fighting against Order here, I wouldn't be surprised if we see other Elder Gods that are more powerful in future maps. Now, it is actually possible to whip up a little theory as to why the Elder God is present here. Why does it specifically try and stop Samantha from leaving the facility? Let's consider where else we see the Elder God in the map, on the defense rounds from rounds 30 plus every 10 rounds or so. In those situations, the Elder God attacks your defenses, but then attacks your ether reactor specifically. And if the ether reactor is destroyed, the Elder God leaves. It just beam me up Scotties into the sky and doesn't go any further. So what seems to be happening here potentially is this monster appears to be trying to prevent the mining of the Dark Ether. There is clearly a connection to the ether that it feels, and it is compelled to act in this way. And once it feels like it's accomplished its task, it then leaves because the threat has kind of been neutralized. The link between those ether reactors and the Dark Ether itself is the key. And so when Samantha herself seems to have been influenced by the Dark Ether in a transformative way, the Elder God Order probably feels this, notices this, and realizes that it is its duty to go to the village and make one last final stand to try and prevent Samantha from leaving. It's no secret that Samantha has always been connected to the ether itself in a very different way to basically anyone else. And even though we've started a new storyline, the Dark Ether story now, I think that probably persists in her character and in her soul. It's going to be something we learn more about in the future, I'm sure, so make sure to subscribe, haha. And it's going to be really interesting seeing Sam's memories come back in future maps as well as we keep going through the story, because she's going to be able to recount tales of the Dark Ether and of how it's kind of affected her psyche and what she remembers from her childhood and things like that. Those childhood memories are going to be key because they're going to start explaining why she is wearing the stuff that she is wearing. Does she know that she's wearing Monty's red scarf? Is that actually Takio's own katana, or is it just a replica that she got to try and feel close to him as a kind of memoir? Is she still upset about what happened in the Tag der Toten ending, and that's why she's kind of referencing Nikolai maybe with those goggles? Alternatively, what might have happened is the Dark Ether itself might have conjured those items up for her. Sam actually says at one point that she blacks out in the Dark Ether and then comes to with a knife in her hand, and she's just taken down a load of soldiers. And so while she was blacked out, the Dark Ether might have conjured those items up for her. I mean, it's unlikely that you would throw someone into the Dark Ether when you were meant to be torturing them with a katana on their back. Like, surely that's a safety hazard. So I think it definitely is possible that she retrieved those items there, and that the Dark Ether kind of has its own memory of the previous Ether storyline as well, and maybe that's going to influence how things evolve in the next couple of maps. Will we see old things from the past that are brought back to life in some new twisted way by that kind of reflected version of what we'd seen previously? It's definitely a really interesting one to think about, and that's my working theory right now for what's going on with Samantha's outfit, clothing, weapons, etc. With the boss vanquished, the cutscene continues with Ravenov driving in to save us and help us escape.
Not coming with us?
There is an operation underway in the Ural Mountains. I have to stay in the field.
This line from Ravenov is really interesting because it's yet another hint towards the fact that we're going to be getting a DLC map in the Ural Mountains at some point. There have been honestly about a dozen hints by now, and it seems like our kind of trajectory through the story now is going to be to go to Berlin and have a zombies map there, and then to go to the Ural Mountains and maybe meet up with Ravenov there for DLC 3. This next line from Samantha is going to sound a little familiar to you guys.
This is the only way.
Yep, I've heard that one before.
I told you once, Omega is not who we are. I do this for the good of the motherland. For the good of us all.
Try not to break anything else.
Remember, there's nothing so broken that it cannot be fixed.
Sam, are you okay?
I'm ready to come in, Leader. We have a lot to talk about.
So with that, the happy part of the cutscene is out of the way. Now for the surprise reveal with Dr. Peck.
Finally. Could you have taken any longer to get here?
You were smart to transmit your research. You demonstrated loyalty to an extent.
To an extent? What more do you want? Just wait until we get back to Moscow. We'll see what the Colonel thinks about this.
Really? Do you really want to know what I think?
They actually went there. We've known for a while now that the zombie story was now fully connected to the campaign story, but I just did not expect to ever see Kravchenko in a zombies cutscene. So here's 30 seconds on who the hell this guy is in case you don't know. Kravchenko became a colonel between 1945 and 1960 as he followed the orders of his boss, who will also be a familiar name to all of you, Nikita Dragovich. Now you'll remember from BO1, like Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner, all must die, that thing? That used to be ancient history, but it isn't anymore because now Kravchenko's in the game and Steiner is part of the story and Dragovich is probably as well. Fast forward a bit from then, and in the 1980s he was working with the KGB and he was tasked with finding a mole within his organization. Now, interestingly, we know that one of his plans is to get Peck to torture Samantha to find out who that mole is. And so when that doesn't happen and Peck throws Samantha into the dark ether instead, and then Samantha escapes, Kravchenko is obviously furious, and that is why he says that Peck has been loyal, because Peck used the satellite to send his information and research out of the facility before it was completely overrun, so that was a good thing, but he didn't follow Kravchenko's order to get that information out of Samantha, and certainly didn't follow his orders when he let her escape, and that's why he says to Peck that he needs to prove his loyalty. Remember, Peck is American, not a Russian, and if you're looking for a mole and then someone starts behaving in a way that lets someone get out of your grasp, that's kind of sus. I think Kravchenko would vote out Peck right now if he could, and that's why he votes Peck's eye out instead.
I think I want to see a demonstration of your commitment to Omega. Tell me, Doctor, which is your better eye?
It does not mean that Dr. Peck is going to die. I think that there is a very strong chance that we see him in future maps as a crazed villain, driven by the fact that he's just had this happen to him, and he's even more angry with us now for escaping and messing up his plans and his experiments and all of that. Now, if you think this all sounds interesting, there's a video in the middle of your screen right now. Give it a click. YouTube has decided that this is the video that you're going to watch next. That's right. I'm going to wrap this video up here. Click that video, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.